Okay, so welcome everybody to the latest edition of Israel's LGBT Organizations Explained. This week we are privileged to have Tehila from Kol and Shay from Havruta. These are the two LGBT organizations in Israel for religious lesbians and gay men. Okay, so if you'd like to introduce yourselves first of all, let's start with Tehila. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you were born, maybe a little bit about coming out and how you got involved with Tehila?
With Kol.
Sorry, with Kol, yes.
Okay, so I born in Be'er Sheva. I was born in Be'er Sheva, and I'm not lesbian woman. I'm straight woman. I'm religious, and it's a little bit surprise for some people that to hear that in the first time, and they ask me how someone straight can be CEO of an organization that there is lesbian woman. But I am see that like a tikkun olam. And I know it's something very something that I wanted to do all my time, and I see it's like a really good things to do in the world. So I was I will start to say to talk about it shortly. I grew in a really ultra Orthodox school, and I had a friend, and she came out from the closet only with me, and nobody knows that she was a lesbian except me. And she died when she was 18. She died in a car accident, and she died.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And she died when she was in the closet. And after that, I told to myself that nobody should die in a closet. It's really horrible place to be. So I see my job as a mission for people, for women that want to come out from the closet. But Kol is a great place to do this mission. And this is the shortly explanation why I enjoy and why I see why I enjoy for my position in Bat Kol.
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you very much for explaining. Thanks for that, Tehila. And Shay, can you tell us about yourself and a little bit about Havruta?
Yeah, okay, so I'm 33 years old, like a week ago. We celebrated. And thanks. And I was born in Netanya, and into an Orthodox religious family. I'm not sure which is the translation of the concept of Haredi Leumi, like it's a national ultra-Orthodox family, kinda.
Is this what's often known as knitted kibbutz? Is that the?
Yeah, quite the bigger kibbutz, yeah.
Okay.
And I studied in Yeshivat Bnei Akiva, Netanya, and I've been through conversion therapies when I was 13. Yeah, I was 13 and a half years old. And then I've been through these therapies for 3 years until it just didn't work, and it made me be in a very low places of self-hatred, of suicidal thoughts. And then I decided that I'm going to be okay with my identity and to accept it. And I told my mother, and she was really not accepting my identity. But I continued and I finished the yeshiva, and then I joined the military service. And by the age of 20, I think that I didn't believe anymore, and also I didn't do any practices of religion whatsoever. I had much anger inside of me with God, and I think that I could be defined as anti-atheist even. But then in the age of 22, after I was also expelled from my house by my mother's husband,
oh, wow.
I reached Tel Aviv and I started to volunteer in IGI and in the Aguda and the Students' Union, and I started my studies in the university. I'm now finishing my PhD in genetics in Tel Aviv University. Thanks. And I understood that this anger is just too heavy to bear inside of me, and that also I can, like many other people in the LGBT religious community, just decide what to take with me, with my religious identity, and what to just leave behind. So all the fanatical, I think, opinions I just left behind, and I decided that I will not hate my heritage and anymore. And a couple of years ago, a friend of mine, Avichai, which was the previous chairman of Havruta, asked me to come and be active also in Havruta. And since I traveled between many LGBT organizations in Israel, I thought that this will be a very good completion of a circle, like just to close a circle.
Yeah.
And I thought that it will be a great idea to do it also here. And then I was also elected to be the chairperson of Havruta from December. Thank you.
Good stuff.
So
can I just ask you, can I just ask you, you mentioned that you went into ex-gay therapy at the age of 13, and that was before you came out to your mother. So that's something you went into voluntarily yourself? You found it yourself?
I really wanted that to stay in my community, to stay in my religious track of things, that people just go and study in yeshiva and then get married. This is what I wanted for myself, and I knew that God just didn't like being gay, so I tried to change it.
One thing I've discovered after talking to a lot of people that have been through ex-gay therapy is it makes wonderful LGBT activists.
Yeah.
People I know in Australia, in the US, and here in Israel, it literally does the opposite of what they hope it will do. Are you involved at all in the move to try and get it outlawed from under 18-year-olds?
Yes. So first of all, Havruta today is really in the front of fighting along with the other religious LGBT organizations against the conversion therapies, and I myself also submitted a complaint against one of the shrinks that did it. But unfortunately, the fact that Litzman was the Minister of Health, so he just didn't let us at all to this complaint to be even discussed, and we also brought it to the Knesset, but many talkings and nothing was done, and we hope that now that there's a change in and the new minister will have the opportunity to deal with these complaints.
We've already seen some improvements already. with the, I've forgotten her name, Lifa, the Australian headmistress, that Australia's been trying to extradite her so she can face the trial for the crime she's performed. Litzman was helping her stay in Israel. He's gone, and now they've said that she's going to be extradited.
Eligible to, Malka Leifer.
Yeah, Malka, that was her name. So let's hope that now that Litzman's out of the way, that things can start to change. That's wonderful work.
Sure.
Thank you very much for the introductions to both of you. Can you tell us a little bit about what, well, let's do about Kol first of all, or to both of you. So what do you do? Is it mostly social events, support? What kind of activities do the two groups do?
We are doing, but Kol, as I said, serves as a home for over 500 LGBTQ women of various religious background, and it provides them a home, a supporting social community, and year-round event. And what we are doing, as I said, we are the only proud women organization in Israel, and we are doing with a large group of volunteers, we managed to operate in two major fields. One is internal, working with the Bat Kol community, providing activities, group meetings, Shabbat, retreat, and social support. All internal activities take place under extreme discretion to avoid life threatening situation for women who are still in the closet. And the second one is external, but Kol advocate and educational, social, and political change for LGBTQ rights and equality in the Israeli society, alongside the LGBTQ Guild of Organization, and we put great effort in being the pioneers for advocating tolerance for LGBT within the religious community, with Havruta, of course. It was public appearance and awareness. We did last year assemble for tolerance to accept the religious transgender in the LGBTQ religious. And we do this together with Havruta and Shoval, our partners in the religious gay community. And this is the main things that we are doing. And yesterday, we did like a sample because two of members of Bat Kol, they live in Rehavia. It's a neighborhood in Jerusalem, and someone broke to their car and put some of papers, and he called them that they are not welcome in this neighborhood because they are lesbian, and some really bad stuff. He wrote there, and then Bat Kol organized this assemble with all kind of members from from Havruta, from the open house in Jerusalem, and we did a assemble in the Berlin Street in this neighborhood.
Fantastic.
So, yes.
Well, a horrible thing to do. I remember once one of the, it's a few years ago now, Jerusalem Pride, 1 year, they changed the route and we went through Rehavia. And I remember someone, I'm not sure if it was stink bombs or something worse that people were throwing into the street. And we all kind of had to walk around whatever it was that was in the middle of the road. And it kind of made me smile because we were just passing through. You know, we were there for a few minutes and we'd smell whatever it was someone had thrown in the street. But it's their neighborhood and they were going to have to put up with that smell for much longer than we were. I just thought it was a little bit ironic, if that's the right word to use, that they would behave that way. But it's sad that these things happen. And it's great that your organizations are on it. You mentioned Shoval. I want to come back to Shoval in a second. But Shay, can you tell us a little bit about the the events that that Havruta does, please?
Yeah. So first of all, I remember this Pride in Jerusalem. I was with my ex-boyfriend in 2011, I think, and it was really stinky experience. But they, as you just said, left with the smell for much longer time.
Yeah.
And anyway, is just everything that Tehila said applies also to Havruta. We also have social groups. If I can add, we have. I think that the special thing in the religious community is that we have groups where most of the other organizations just don't have. We have a special group for yeshiva students banishing in Gush Etzion. We have two in Jerusalem. We have in Ariel. And also, I think that the periphery of Israel, like Beersheba and Haifa, gets more attention from the religious organizations than the other organizations that that naturally, I think, had their centers in Tel Aviv area. We also have very large group in Tel Aviv, but but it's not our only group, and surely it's not our focus. We also have a forum of rabbis, Orthodox rabbis. We are something like 100 rabbis, and the rabbinites also. All of them are Orthodox that support the LGBT community. Most of them are in the closet in this regard, like they are not LGBT people, but they just don't want now, most of them, to be recognized as with this forum, but some of them are, and we consult them, we talk with them. We have a meeting every couple of months, but now with the corona, it will be a Zoom one. And we also have a forum of right-wing media people from the media, newspapers, and channels that our communities and our families read, and we try to get our articles into this media, and
fantastic,
because it's easy for me to write an article about religious gays and just put it in I don't know, Mako or Walla or Ynet, but we want that it will be in the religious community media.
Absolutely. I mean, there's things like that where people find out that they're not the only one. I'm sure you both probably grew up thinking you were the sorry, I keep forgetting Tehila, you're straight. But Shay, you must have grown up thinking you were the only one. And so seeing articles like that in the newspaper in your house can make a world of difference. And finding out that the organization exists can literally change somebody's life.
Yes, so but Kol and Havruta were founded both, but Kol actually before Havruta, were founded both after I came out of the closet, and I didn't have any models of people who are both religious and LGBT. But now, a student that, or a young man or a woman that just come out, have models of the families, religious families that stay religious, with their proud in their LGBT identity, live in their communities, the rabbis accept them, the educational system accept them, the yeshiva accept them, their synagogue accept them.
Wow.
So I think that this is a very important thing in the development of the previous decade that we have.
That's amazing. It's things have changed a lot. So how do you both feel when you see in the media that some rabbi has made some vile comment or comparison and described LGBT people as whatever the animal of the day is? How does that make you feel?
Shay, you can talk.
All right. Okay, so actually I think about their students, because what these rabbis usually don't know is that when they give their lectures, they have students in the audience that are part of Havruta and maybe part of Bat Kol, and they just listen to that and they feel horrible, of course. And we get the afterwards the impact of all these people just feel terrible with themselves and just don't know what to do with themselves. Maybe to go to another yeshiva, to move, and just keeps them more inside the closet for a year or so. So we usually tend to react. We have press releases about it. We try to avoid being I don't know, too offensive toward them, but we also try to be very assertive in our attitude. And we usually also back up our opinions with rabbis that already expressed their feelings about it and their opinion about the LGBT community, like Rabbi Ben Ilau that said that a closet is actually death. LGBT religious people come out of the closet. This is very important saying. And we also try to track all these organizations and, all these Noam parties and the Chazon and Liba, and it turned out that they all have the same financial source of some Russian oligarch.
Oh, really?
Yeah, we had an article in The Marker that explained all of this in detail. And it's like an octopus that has many
tentacles. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's funny, so I was actually contacted a few months ago, a couple of times, by a guy that was supposedly starting a political party. I won't even mention their name, not that I can remember it. And he had taken it upon himself to explain to the LGBT community, pretty much on an individual basis, why we had got it wrong and his opinion was right and how we could fix ourselves.
Yeah, good luck.
Yeah, so, I think I got him kicked off Facebook a couple of times. And warned other people, warned groups. He was trying to join LGBT groups left, right, and centre so he could just stir up trouble. So standard, these people don't have anything better to do with their lives. Yeah. Okay. So you mentioned Shoval, Tehila.
I just want to say something about regard to your question, that I actually see that after every such statement by a rabbi, there are many calls from to us from ultra-Orthodox women who want to have to come and to be part of Bat Kol. I actually can see this. And I know, just a minute. And I know after every such statement, I can expect it to a lot of calls for ultra-Orthodox women that say, okay, I want to be part of Bat Kol. Yes, and in Bat Kol in this day is building an online center for all members and of the proud religious community who are in the closet. And we recognize during the Corona period that there is a great need of women and gay community in the closet to talk, to meet. So we set up an online, we are setting now our online center that will allow them to be in the closet too and to share their feelings.
That's wonderful.
Yes, the Corona just we saw because of the Corona the need of this online center. And
that's one of the great things about Zoom, for example, is that, you don't have to put a camera on.
Yes,
you don't have to give your real name. You can keep complete anonymity. And if you delete the chats afterwards or whatever, then, no one knows what you've been doing. So, it's a wonderful idea.
It's right, and I think 2 weeks ago we did together Havruta, Bat Kol and Shoval. It's called Pesach Sheni. It's the tolerance event, and we did it online because of the Corona. And a lot of people told us that because they are in the closet, this the first time that they can be part of this event.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's always that fear. Amazing. The closet is a scary place. It's like you're always worried somebody might see you in the wrong place, talking to you the wrong person. Someone you might recognize you, and they might out you to the whole world. And it's, potentially it feels like it could be the end of the world as you know it.
Yes. Also the families. Someone members told me my mom. I think it's the Mashiach. She told me because she's see the video in online for the Pesach Sheni, and that's it's not something that she will come or should come to some like this event, but the online is can
very freeing.
yes,
Yeah,
it's very
amazing. Wonderful.
Yes.
Thank you for that. So can you tell us a little bit more about Shaval? How does that fit into to the organization or the community?
Shay, you want to expand Shaval?
Yeah, so Shaval started as a joint project of Kol and Havruta, just to make activities in the religious educational system, and also especially for the teaching stuff, not necessarily the students, but also the students, and also the national religious community has a system of institutions like mechinot, which are the pre-military service institutions that you study Torah there, and also the Hesder yeshivas, where you study for a year and then go only a year and a half in the army, and then go back to the yeshiva, and the other yeshivas where you don't have a military service at all. They are an integral part, I think, of the religious track of students of religious families today. So this is very important to also to be there and give lectures about the LGBTs people. And some think that LGBTs are just don't exist in the religious community, and we're there to tell them no. We are everywhere, actually.
We are everywhere.
Yeah, and just like Choshen, which is the secular one, in Shaval, we just tell our stories, our personal stories, and then we have questions. And also, I think that the most important thing that we talk the language of halacha, of Torah, of the people where we stand before them. And also we have the knowledge to answer some the identities, the identity problems, I think, or conflicts between the LGBT one and the religious one. And it's more authentic when a religious person or ex-religious person that deal with these things, or deal with conversion therapies, for example, stand before you and just lecture about it. And also, Shaval is a special organization among the LGBT organizations in Israel, in the aspect that it doesn't participate in pride events, also because it really tries to be non-political, where a rabbi will try and search and Google it. They won't find any things that they might even think that it's provocative or something like that.
Okay.
So this is really important. So a couple of months ago, or a month ago, I think, they completed the process of being an independent NGO, and we three work now in a joint coalition in many aspects of activity.
So how long has Shaval been going? How long since it started?
2010, I think.
Okay,
started.
So 10 years already.
Yeah.
Amazing. And it must have been challenging work, I would imagine, in the early days.
Yeah.
To get that first foot in the door and to start actually being able to talk to people. It must have taken a lot of convincing, I would imagine.
Yeah, sometimes like they just people just cancel them in the last moment.
Nice.
And usually in half of the cases, I guess there are scandals that arise from the fact that they even come, or we even come.
Yeah. Okay, that's amazing. And you're both involved in Shoval as well, yes?
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yeah. So yeah.
Good stuff. And so do you provide support services as well? You mentioned Tehila, that you get a lot of calls from women after there've been homophobic statements in the media or whatever. Do you have a support line that people can call?
Yes, we have a support line. Okay. We have a support line that works 2 days in a week. And some member of Bat Kol, she's volunteer. And she is, there is a special phone for that. And she knows when the phone rings, this is some call from ultra-Orthodox and Orthodox women that want to say something, to maybe become members of Bat Kol, and to share their things about themselves. And yes, we have this online, and as I said, after a statement of a rabbi, the phone is not stopped to ring.
Wow.
Yes.
So do you find, to both of you, obviously in Orthodox communities, in certain Orthodox communities, people are encouraged to marry, as soon as they finish yeshiva or, at a very young age. So, do you have members who are in marriages
yes.
and they're not, they have no way, or they're not comfortable to come out to their husband or wife?
Yes, we have in Bat Kol a big group of ultra-Orthodox religious women. Not all of them, but part of the ultra-Orthodox group. And they marry to, they live like a two life. They marry to men's, but they are lesbian women, and they are in the closet, and they are coming to the support meeting and events. And if I see someone of them in the street, I cannot allow to say hello or something like this. It's really forbidden to say hello, because we want to protect on their life. It's a very difficult place to be. It's difficult.
Absolutely,
place.
And it's not even a case of, maybe I wouldn't have any statistics about this myself, but there are women that want to stay in the marriage. They want to do what, they want to live the lifestyle that they've been brought up to live. But at the same time, this is a part of them that they can't deny. But at the same time, it's not something that many, I would imagine, can possibly tell their husbands or their community. So it must be an incredibly difficult place to be.
Yes, it's a very difficult place to be, but Kol let them the place to be them, because when they are coming to the support meeting, they are in the first time in their lives, can be them. It's a freedom for them.
Yeah, yes. Absolutely, that's amazing. And Shay, is it the same for you? Do you have members that are married?
Yeah, so we have exactly the same now. On the Sundays and Wednesday, we have the line, the support line, and we get many calls now. We also get calls to our personal phones, and usually at least one per day via email. And we have also a quite large group of people who are married to women, but they don't want to keep doing it, or just want to stay with their families, but want to have this second life. We consult them in this regard. Sometimes we have them brought together in a group. But it also depends where are geographically stay. Like if they are just too spread out in the whole country, it's more difficult. Last week I had a meeting with a guy who brought his 4 children to the meeting. Yeah, and we just talked with code words. about all these things, so they won't understand. But yeah, he just wanted to be part of a social group, maybe to get to know someone. And now he thinks that the best thing is to keep lying to his wife. And just sometimes I think to myself, okay, where am I in this thing? Because for on the one hand, it's really not okay to lie to there's a woman in the other side. But on the other hand, I think that I can judge this person who lived in the closet for the 40 years of his life. And this is so complicated and also a delicate issue. We usually don't, we're not judgmental toward them.
Yeah, it's very difficult, isn't it? I can't imagine him being in that kind of situation. But again, it happens in the secular world as well. There are plenty of people, there's a whole generation of women who married, had children, came out in their 50s, and the same for men as well. They had children, they came out later in life. I guess it's a slightly different situation because, there's less shame, I guess, that's the right word to use, in getting divorced and being able to come out. But yeah, it happens. Absolutely. Okay, that's fascinating stuff. I'm trying to think what other questions I had. Are there any questions from anyone that's in the Zoom window? Please feel free to type into the chat window or unmute yourself.
Also, I wanted to say, if it's okay, to add that we now translate our website of Havruta to English and French also, because we have people that speak both languages that wanna be part of, and that maybe we'll have an English group in Havruta, and I hope that.
Wonderful. That's one thing I wanted to ask you. Do you have many olim that join or that make contact with you?
We have quite a large group of olim from France, from the UK, from the USA, from Canada, that are part of the Havruta. There are also people that come just for a gap year or something like that from the US, from the States, to study here in a yeshiva, and they come to our activities, and we think of just reach out to them more precisely, I think. So they have a place to be.
Fantastic, that's great work. Yeah. And I know you have, under normal circumstances, obviously this year is different, but normally there's a Seder every year, at Pesach. I've seen, working in conjunction with the Jerusalem Open House, we have a Seder. Do you do something around Rosh Hashanah as well?
Yes, we are doing Rosh Hashanah, Pesach, and Shavuot. And because of the Corona, we cannot do that, unfortunately. Yes, but we are doing together all the LGBT religious community and also with the open house in Jerusalem, 3 meals in a year.
Fantastic.
Yes.
So this is a part. Sorry, go on, Shay.
Sorry, and it's apart from of Shabbatot that we have both in Kol and Havruta and joint Shabbatot of Kol and Havruta during the year. Like we have at least 2, I think, for each.
Fantastic. I forgot what I was going to ask now. I was going to say, no, that's not all. I was just going to make the comment that hopefully by Rosh Hashanah, things will have calmed down here, that we'll have found I would say not get back to normal, but found a nice compromise between how far we can sit apart from each other and how masked we have to be and how many new cases we can have. It'll be nice to return to some kind of level of normality by then.
Yeah.
And so hopefully we will be able to have nice meals together and not have to worry about that kind of thing.
Yes.
Okay, do we have any questions? Oh, sorry, yes, I have a question here in the chat window. Are there situations where both a husband and wife are gay and thereby agreement about gay lesbian relationships? Interesting. So do open relationships exist within the religious communities?
It's a complicated question.
Yeah. So I know of couples that one of the the couples are gay or lesbian, and they just usually when they are gay, I think that this is a terrible situation. But again, I'm not trying to be judgmental or trying not to be judgmental. That the woman just let the husband do whatever he wants because she recognized the fact that he has his I don't know, his will to go and be with other people. But regarding the special case of gays and lesbians, so there was a conversion therapist organization that tried to. They had the project that they said, "Hey, okay, we'll take all the lesbians and we'll get them married with all the gays." And
Problem solved.
Yeah, exactly. But of course, it didn't work because sometimes gays wanna have children in shared parenthood with women, and it could be a lesbian woman, but usually it's not. It's a straight woman that just didn't find a suitable partner. And lesbian couples just don't need, like women couples just don't need a man to have children. They can get an anonymous a sperm donation.
Yeah.
Yes. So usually this situation, I don't know couples of gay lesbians relationship usually.
I remember, is that organization still going? I do remember reading about it a few years ago, matching gay men up with lesbians and putting them under a chuppah and getting them married and letting them live happily ever after together.
Yeah, this is the exactly the guy that I was talking about.
Yeah, are they still doing that, or is that
no?
They've realized the error of their ways.
No, but they just saw that they just can't come from outside and give advices to the community, which they just don't try to even understand. Just try to convert and
Great,
it just
isn't it?
doesn't work.
So Viva's saying here, when she came out to someone, they sent her a link to it. Nice. So, yes, I can imagine how that went. Wonderful. Are there any other questions from anyone in the chat? Was there anything else I wanted to ask you as well? If people want to get involved with Havruta or Bat Kol, where should we direct them? Especially, because this is going out to, I guess, an English-speaking audience. What's the best way that they can get in touch with you? Not expecting you to memorize phone numbers off the top of your head. We can put that on the Facebook afterwards. But how should
so maybe I'll give you just the entire ways of contact: phone, email. We have a newsletter, Facebook, my personal phone. So many ways. Yeah, just.
Do you have a page on Facebook if people just search for Havruta?
Yeah, yes.
Wonderful. Excellent.
We are a little bit different because we have such, it's called Kabbalat Panim, welcome volunteers in Bat Kol, that they are charged on to accept this woman. So there is a special mail, and I can give you this mail. And when someone wants to come and to be part of Bat Kol, she sends in email, and then the volunteer, she contacts with her, she asks her a little bit, she don't ask private things, yes, but just to know a little bit, and then she accepts her, she needs to meet her, and then she accepts her to the organization.
Okay.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, that's great. Thank you very much. Is there anything else you want to add just before we wind up?
I want to add something that I think it's really difficult to be also Ole Chadash, or Ola Chadasha, new Ola, and to be also lesbian or gay in the religious is too complicated situation. And just to say that Bat Kol is here for women and all kinds of women from all the countries. So we are here. If you want to share something, you want to be part of us, we are accepting you in both of our hands. And you are welcome, both in Israel and in Bat Kol.
That's great. Thank you very much.
The same for us, like all the religious Jewish boys out there. You can come, and we have a really thriving community here.
Wonderful. That's great. Thank you very much to both of you for joining me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For agreeing to be interviewed. It's been fascinating, really is, and you do wonderful work. So, kol hakavod.
Thank you. It was very interesting.
Thanks so much. I just wanted to let everyone know next week we have, now remind me, next week we have Alicia and Ella joining us from Mavarim, that's Israel's trans community. And the week after that, we're actually talking to somebody, Geya from Hoshen. So we talked about Shaval and how they do work at today. We talked about Shaval and how they do work with the religious schools and yeshivas. Hoshen does the same thing for the more mainstream stream of education. Okay, so those are the next 2 Sundays coming up. All right, so thank you everyone for joining us today. And like I said, I'll be uploading this to Facebook afterwards. Hope you all have a great week, and please just stay safe out there. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.